You're doing the inner work. You're clearing, you're evolving, but somewhere underneath of that, you still feel fried. Is it really ascension flu like we've been taught? Or is it your nervous system that is waving a white flag saying, I need you to listen to me? Hello, my name is Dr. Harmony, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when all my videos and content come live. I've spent over 30 years in the wellness field and background in chiropractic and different integrative practices. In my office, it was Healthy Solutions, where it would help patients connect the dots between the nervous system, the spirit, and the body. And now for the last 10 years, I've been a Twin Flame Ascension mentor, including my wellness strategies, and an advocate for lightworkers, helping them embody their light and to heal different symptoms that they've had along the way. So today I want to help you decode your energy crash so that you can finally start to feel yourself again. And so my goal is to bring some of that expertise into the ascension space. I've been seeing a lot of spiritual beings in burnout lately through the ascension burnout, and they're chasing the light and they're not fully embodying it or becoming it. And trust me when I say I've been there too. You know, the fatigue, the brain fog, the inflammation, even heart palpitations, ringing in the ears, sleepless nights, download, upgrades. And it just is a part of the spiritual upgrade to not just our soul, but our body holding and supporting light through our DNA. And through this process, the body can go into crash mode. And so what I needed to do was learn how to listen to my body. And even with all of my background, I will tell you, it was very intense and it was very hard for me to sometimes get my own self out of bed. And so one of the things I want to help you do is really break this down so you can determine, is this really ascension flu or is it more of an adrenal burnout? And is your nervous system really on overload and are you crashing physically? So let's start by talking about ascension flu and the energy integration that we take place in our physical being from our soul, our emotions, our physical body, our spirit, and bringing those layers into the inner state of our being down to the cellular system. And if you're experiencing true ascension flu, then you might be feeling these waves of exhaustion or emotions after a deep healing work. So if you're going and having all this healing work done and energy, that energy is going to move a lot of things in your body that have been stored in your body. And that can actually give you even different symptoms like not being nauseated. It can even cause purging. It can cause you to feel fatigued through the process. And you can also have these brief waves of exhaustion that take place after these emotional highs and lows and after this deep healing that takes place. And some of the typical symptoms that you might experience are the random chills, the buzzing in the ears. Again, like I said, the detox type symptoms. You might have tingling in your body, in your hands, your feet. You might feel this heart expansion. You might go into emotional releases and start weeping and crying and not even sure why. But these typically pass with the wave of the energy. And so the energy comes in these highs and lows. And so when you feel a clearing after you've had either a high or a low, it can typically take 2 to 3 days for that to pass. And if you dive really deep, like some of us do, potentially 2 to 3 weeks. But you shouldn't stay in that space. You should be coming back into a place of truly being able to feel a sense of relief from what you cleared after you clear it. So one of the key questions you might really ask yourself when you have this, does these crashes come after a big energetic shift or do they resolve very quickly? Because as I mentioned, if it's not moving quickly, then you're shifting more into something that the body is going into overload. So let's compare that now with the adrenal gland burnout and the nervous system overload. So when you're experiencing that, obviously you feel hypersensitive and your body feels in constant state of fight or flight. And you're probably not sleeping good. And you're probably going into the sense of even sound. I know when I've went through this, being in a lot of sound, it really just buzzes in my body and I feel everything in my body. And that's where a lot of people talk about being an empath. And the empath is triggering the wounds inside your system, inside your nervous system, that is causing the hypersensitive inside of your nervous system. And the body can handle that for short term. But when it becomes chronic, that creates the chronic fatigue. And so that means even after you rest, you're still wired. and you're still tired and you're still anxious and you might even feel numb. And typically that can even come from like lower blood pressure or lightheadedness when you stand up from a seated position to standing. And a lot of people tend to crave sugar, salt, and especially caffeine because your nervous system is trying to keep that buzz, trying to keep the sensation going, the spark going. And when you crave that, then that is also helping you to stimulate your energy because you're so depleted. And then drinking the caffeine, eating the sugar, or increasing your salt will actually cause the body short term to feel good, but from long term, it's preventing you from being able to be consistent and stable in your energy. And because it's chronic, that will typically lead to an irritability that you feel frustrated a lot of times, and it causes these triggering of emotions that cause you to feel something deeper trying to erupt out of you through even anger sometimes. And then there's the crossover, because you can still have the brain fog and the inflammation. And the key question you want to ask yourself in this situation, has this been going on for weeks or maybe even months? And are you needing that caffeine or a nap just to even function in your daily activities? So I'm going to give you some tips and tools that you can use to test yourself. So the first tool I'm going to give you is the 3-minute pulse test. And you can take this pulse test while you're lying down for 1 full minute and just count your pulse and write it. There's different places you can do it, but right in your main artery and your wrist. And in that time, if your heart rate is rising more than 20 beats in a minute, that's possible that you have adrenal stress. And something really key in that is if you're feeling dizzy, shaky, nervous, lightheaded, that says your nervous system is totally imbalanced, and that's neurological. And so when that happens, you want to pay attention to that, and you want to make sure and monitor that and see how that relates to how you feel through these energy cycles and how that connects to your heart rate, and if your heart rate is going up or if it's staying consistent around the 20 beats in a minute. So the second tip to give you is the salt craving test. Monitor and see, are you craving salty snacks? Does it make you feel better when you have electrolytes and not feel so dehydrated? Because a lot of times going through this process, we get very dehydrated, and our body craves that salt and the electrolytes because there's an imbalance within the electrolytes that causes the adrenal fatigue, and often that indicates a sodium imbalance in your body. Third tip and tool to pay attention to and monitor is the wake-up test. And the wake-up test is, do you wake up tired even after a full night's sleep? Are you sometimes not even going into the REM sleep, but are you getting deep enough even if you do sleep? Because that's where we get into those theta brain waves and the alpha brain waves that helps us go in and calm our system to move into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is systemic. And that means it's internalized, that when you sleep, if your body's not resting and if you're not going into the REM, everything in your system is not resting. Even if you're sleeping, everything in your body is constantly running in a state of if you were awake and if you were being chased by a tiger, which is what I talk about a lot of times, that fight or flight where the tiger's chasing you. And even when the tiger is gone, your body acts and responds as if it's still being chased. If you're not getting into those deep sleep states, then what happens is your system never gets to rest. And it stays running all the time. And so even if you actually think you're sleeping, you will wake up and still feel like you never slept. And if that's the case, this is not ascension. It's likely a systemic depletion in your nervous system, and you need to take action to calm it from the inside out. And the fourth tool I want to give you is the emotional reactivity gauge. And what that is where you're looking at your system. You're looking at your emotions, and you can kind of put together and pay attention. Are you more reactive? Or are you more passive? Are you being snappy? Or are you feeling numb when issues are coming through? And I'll tell you, one of the things I felt in this is no matter what was going on in my life, I didn't know how to feel it. I was emotionally numb, and that's not normal, because you should still be able to feel these things that you're going through. And so if you're going through it and you can feel all the symptoms, but you have this emotional shutdown, that means that your vagus nerve is dysregulated. And the vagus nerve runs up through the body, and there's a lot to it in a lot of medical terms, but to keep it really simple, it runs up through the neck, into the back of your ear, behind your jaw, and you can stimulate that area and you can rub in that area, and it will help calm your nervous system just behind your jawbone, just up behind the bottom of your ear, up into this space right here where my finger is. And you'll feel it's very tender, very sore, but you can rub that. And I would rub it up. You can also drain out your lymph glands coming up from your neck into the sides of your jaw, up to the back of your ear. And when you hit that really tender space and spot right here behind the jaw and below the ear, and there's an indentation, when you hit that spot, you're going to feel something really tender. And you're going to feel a nerve shoot some pain up to the top of your head, down into your jaw, and sometimes out into even your teeth or out into the front of your face. And when you hit that and you hold that or you massage that, and then it goes to go into a place of calmness or not as tender, you then have calmed down the major nerve in your body that causes part of the fight or flight process. So the biggest key I could tell you in this is you don't need to suffer through this in silence or shame because you've went through this. You truly need to not look at this, first of all, as spiritual failure. It's really a biofeedback mechanism that's between your body and your experiences and your health. And your nervous system is not separate from your spiritual gifts. It's part of your spiritual gifts because it also has a regulating system to give you those flags, to let you know when there's pain. That's a red flag. Okay, the body is telling you something when you feel something. And are you listening? And are you paying attention? Are you ignoring what the body's telling you? And don't forget that our structure holds this frequency. Our being knows what it needs to do to heal itself. That's, for instance, when you have a fever, your body will get to the exact temperature that it needs to get to kill off the bug. But what we do as humans a lot of times is like, okay, I got a fever, I'm achy, don't feel well, so I'm going to take something to bring the fever down. And guess what? That prolongs your symptoms because the body has to get to a certain temperature. And obviously don't let it get to some temperature that is not normal or that is not healthy or that's danger. But if you can ride it out when you go through that, then the temperature itself kills out whatever the bacteria or the virus or whatever's going on in your body, which typically viruses, you get a low grade temperature, not a higher grade temperature. But regardless, the body knows how to regulate itself. And you need to get in tune with what the body's saying and what the body's doing so that way you can support the body for what the body needs. And then that's going to help you heal your body, which will help you increase your energy, help you become more vital, and help you sleep better. And then stop being so foggy and inflamed so you can truly, truly spend this time that we came here to experience on earth, this heaven on earth, in the embodiment of a being and a spirit that gets to experience the fun, the sense of all the good emotions like the joy and the happiness and, being able to connect on a level that's meaningful and that you can show up in a place that you feel fulfilled during your journey. And you can't do that if your body's exhausted all the time. And trust me, like I said, I know this. So that's why I invite you to take my free wellness assessment to discover what your body's depleted of. And that's when you can really know, truthfully, what it's asking for. And from that place, obviously, it's going to give you lots of information that's going to show you different personal things you can do at home, different resources you could use. And on top of that, there are some nutritional supplements that can help you support your system. That being said, I just want to make a disclaimer here. I don't make anything on those supplements at all. I am only sharing this, and there is a membership that you get them at wholesale cost. So you can get these super high quality, organic, certified supplementation to supplement your system. And that way, you know what's going on in your system, or you can actually support it in a way that helps bring that vitality back. And I had mentioned this in my last video that, we're doing an Embodied Ascension series. And in this one, we were going to talk about ways for you to distinguish between burnout and ascension flu. But in that video, which I'll link above and below, I also mentioned an overview of what we're doing in this embodied ascension and the importance of it. So I invite you to go back and watch that video so you can kind of see what's coming and what the whole point of me showing up and sharing this information is. But make sure to check out that link in the description below. And it's definitely a powerful tool that is built to guide you towards your healing. And it's not just another upgrade that you're doing with the codes. It's literally helping to support that. And that being said, I do want to recommend, whether it's anything you do on that wellness assessment or not, I do want to give you some things to consider. And that would be some high quality magnesium to support the nervous system, or some adaptive herbs such as like ashwagandha, which the greens that are offered inside of Live Good that you will link to through that free wellness assessment. It has in there some really high quality greens that are like a fraction of the cost for the same quality in comparison. And this is also global. They do it global. And again, I don't make anything on these supplements. It's stuff that I've used personally. It's stuff that I have promoted these things for years and worked with patients and saw these changes, and I'm that passionate about it. To get them at a wholesale cost where it's very economical and affordable rather than paying the higher amount for other supplements. And you can learn more about the membership when you look at the wellness assessment. But something else that can really help you is just some simple breath work, or as I mentioned, the vagus nerve stimulation. Those things will help recenter you, help get you grounded, help get you connected, and definitely lower your caffeine, but increase your hydration. And you may need to go ahead and add some electrolytes to your body to support it until you bring the balance back. But all of these things will help ground you. So kind of pick and choose what you feel intuitively your body needs, and it can help you come back into the homeostasis of balance within your own being. But just know, while you might be going through ascension and having some ascension flu that parallels this, know that you're not lazy just because you don't feel good and don't feel like getting up. You're not necessarily blocked anymore in some spiritual clearing that you need to do. You need to move the energy in your body, and you need to get some nutrients to help support the system. You're just burnt out from carrying too much light without the structure to hold it. And that's something we can change when you take action and you support your system. And make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because next week I'm going to be diving into how your symptoms are soul messages, and how if you start to decode what your body's saying, it can actually help you connect more to the soul, more to the light, and more of your embodiment of the ascension. Drop a comment below if this resonated. And remember, your body isn't behind. It's just waiting for you to catch up and come home. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Till I get up, time